Where one year ends, another begins, and it's time once again to do the top 10 lists of best and worst Transformers that came out this year. Now, admittedly, this is not my usual setup to start things because my original introduction didn't go so well. But nevertheless, I wanted to start things off on the right foot for the new year. So we're going to jump into the latest GotBot countdown and look at the 10 best Transformers that I held in my hands this year. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, subscribe, share, check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, and me everywhere. Spend some time on the channel, see what it is that catches your interest, and of course, let the world know about me. This guy is not actually number 10. This is an honorable mention. This is Shuffler. I wasn't really into the whole Titan Master gimmick, but this guy is awesome in all of his modes. I absolutely love the little dude. Now, a lot of people might say, hey, Ramhorn is better, and perhaps he is, but I never did obtain that guy in 2017. In fact, I still don't have that guy. This is definitely a personal list. This is definitely one open to interpretation. And maybe you and I share some favorites, maybe we do not. But these are the ones that I never get bored of. I love seeing them on display. I love having them on the shelves. I love taking them down and just fiddling with them, converting them back and forth, playing with them, and seeing how that all turns out. Now that I've got this reshot, redone, let's get out of here and jump right into number 10, shall we? And for me, the first one on this list is the guy who got an honorable mention last year because it was the year in which I obtained him. He gets the number 10 spot because we got a re-release of him this year. I'm talking technically about the Transformers The Last Knight Cybertron. Of course, this is the earlier use. This is Primus, came out a long time ago. And the new one is more of a black and purple, blue, indigo motif with some orange accents. It's still, I think, a fantastic representation of Primus and of the Transformers' home planet, so how can you not love that? That being said, if you had this guy and lost him, or you missed out on having some version of him, it was a great opportunity to kind of fill that hole in your collection. And I think it looked kind of good anyway. Granted, everybody has different tastes, and it could be argued that he was overpriced. I concede that. And some people might even say that, hey, this is a little bit of a cheat because it's actually an older figure. So for those people, let's give an alternate number 10. And as an alternate to number 10, I even shocked myself in picking Dragonstorm. I looked at Primus in episode 100. I looked at Dragonstorm and both of his robot components in episode 349. Here's the thing. The molding is fantastic. I kind of like the couple of washes that were done on it because it does highlight the detailing. It's a unique, different transformation, a different alt mode. I get that certain people won't like them because there have been, issues with the heads of the dragon kind of breaking, especially because there's ties through every mouth. I think that was excessive. I've even heard tell of, I think, this guy having his head missing out of package. Assembly error. It happens, unfortunately. But overall, my experience with this guy is fun. He looks great. He looks imposing and intriguing with a very interesting transformation and two solid robot modes. Let's move on to number 9. Most folks would probably guess higher for this guy. Number 9 is the impressive, the massive, the detailed, the fantastic Titans Return Triptychon. Okay, I love this guy. Now, to be fair, I did not have the issue with the tail. I did not have the issue in the hips, nor did I have the issue with the chest flap. If you experienced any of those, I could see how this guy might very well end up on your worst list. But my experience with him has been nothing but good, and for that reason he has to take the number 9 spot. Let's go on to number 8. Number 8 probably goes to a surprise to many, that being Titans Return Quake. Yes, it is a mold reuse of Hardhead, but the colors pop, they look fantastic. Everything that was excellent about this figure the first time it came around is still excellent here. Plus now we get one of the absolute best head sculpts I've seen in many years, if not across the entire spectrum of, I'll say, Transformers history within the last 10 years. I think it is absolutely glorious how good Quake looks, and for that reason he is going to take the number 8 spot. Let's move on to number 7. Whether you want to look at him as Transformers The Last Knight Nitro, or Nitro Zeus, or Decepticon Nitro, whatever name you want to give him, or you want to do something like me and kind of customize the base figure into, in this case, a Titans Return Thunderwing, that's up to you. But any way you cut it, I looked at this guy and thought, wow, he has a lot of kibble, he's going to be really hindered and a pain, but he has such an intricate yet engaging transformation, and his articulation is amazing. It's actually fantastic, which shocked me, like I said, because of the kibble on the guy. I looked at Quake in episode 252. I looked at the Nitro version of this and my custom version of this. Kind of a shift forward and backward, if you will, in episode 323. And he's really amazing. I think that the movies found their strength with the Voyagers. Was he kind of overpriced? Yes, but this is one of those times where I could actually kind of justify it. Moving on to number 6. Speaking of a justified price increase, I would be remiss if I didn't include number 6 here, because it's another movie-verse figure. In fact, it's the last one on this list. But Hound, or who I use him as, Bulkhead, but this Voyager Hound that I looked at in episode 291 is really stellar. The paint looks so nice on him, the detailing here, his helmet comes off, the articulation is really very effective again, because he has a lot of kibble. I expected it to be a lot worse than what it was. He even has detailing on his tires, like dirt on his tires. Such a different transformation. I really sort of thought this guy would be a lot of a shell former, and he's not. He's a standout, and if you kind of dismissed the entire movie line, I can understand that. But there are a couple of jewels, at least at the Voyager class size, that I really think everybody should, at the very least, have the opportunity to check out for themselves. And let's not forget, in an age where we have a lot of complaints about thinner, cheaper feeling plastic, this guy has heft and bulk and weight. And for all of those reasons, I gotta give the guy, at least on my personal list, number 6. Move on, shall we, to number 5. Number 5 is just plain fun. Robots in Disguise, Storm Shot. Simple transformation, excellent articulation, and though he certainly has a face that is reminiscent of that whole, you know, Robots in Disguise line, I feel like the body structure and whatnot is very reminiscent of G1. I think he fits in quite well with the aerial bots. I just plain find the guy to be fun, with a great color scheme to boot. Moving on, number 4. Number 4 is technically a group of 4. And why do I say it's technically a group of 4? Because we have Pounce and Wingspan and Cloudraker and Fast Lane all here. Here's the thing. Number 4 is really just the mold that was used for the clones. It's basically the exact same figure 4 times. It's basically the same mold used 4 times with just a couple of slight variations. You know, like we had molded tires and a spoiler for the car here. We had wing pieces here. We had wing pieces over here, bird wing pieces. We had legs for, you know, the puma, whatever he is there. But in essence, the movement of the joints and whatnot is the same, and to me it is absolutely amazing that we could get 4 very diverse alt modes, very diverse, from that one base mold. In essence, we could have had that mold and almost had a 5-mode changer. That's impressive that they were able to pull that off. Plus, the articulation is great, as is the coloring on these guys. And all the joints feel good. And for that reason, either one of these molds, or all of them if you will, takes the number 4 spot. Oh boy, am I getting excited now, because we are into the top 3, and number 3 goes to Sky Shadow. This guy was released in the Titans Return line, Wave 4 if I'm not mistaken. I was going to skip him over. Starscream Girlfriend thought better of it, and I'm so glad she did, because I love this guy. His paint looks fantastic. Great alt modes, excellent articulation, wonderful transformation. Even his ominous face. Pardon the pun, since his head is named Ominous. But there's a lot to like here. Now, I get that a lot of people will jump on the bandwagon and say that Overlord is the better use, but to me it's not, because my Overlord, my copy of the mold, has a pretty weak waist hinge, so he likes to flip back sometimes. This guy doesn't have that, and I'm kind of glad he doesn't. So for that reason, this guy ekes out the number 3 spot, but I can see that argument for Overlord. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty now. Let's look at number 2. Whether you prefer the top spin use of this mold or the twin twist use of it, I don't think anybody can deny that one of the strongest entries in all of Titans Return was either one of these guys, really. And that's why they take the number 2 spot. You have sections in the forearms that could have been hollow that are covered in nicely. You have impeccable articulation. You have one of the most interesting and intricate but not overly complicated transformation schemes that we've ever encountered. And Topspin in particular has glorious blue eyes. They blew me away when I first reviewed the guy. They still blow me away now. I looked at Stormshot, who I mentioned a little while ago in episode 238. All of the clones I looked at kind of varied, because I looked at the 2-pack in episode 275. No, sorry, 296. I looked at the Chaos on Velocitron set in 275, and the Siege on Cybertron set in episode 304. I looked at Sky Shadow in episode 256. I looked at Topspin in episode 253, and Twin Twist, ironically, in episode 293. And you know what? You had a good 40 episodes in between these two, and guess what? When I looked at this guy, every strength that the earlier use had, he still had. These are fantastic. Let's jump in to number 1, who I don't think is going to come as a shock to anybody. And number 1 has to go to Trigger Happy, who I looked at in episode 225. Or if you prefer the use of him as Metal Hawk, who was part of that Siege on Cybertron set that I looked at in episode 304. Either way, this mold is everything right with Transformers, because it has blasters up the wazoo. It has a really cool looking alt mode, excellent articulation and transformation, stunning paint applications, and if you got the Japanese version, more power to you, because guess what? That one is also absolutely fantastic. Now, some people are going to debate this and say, no, this is not everything that's right with Transformers. As a matter of fact, this guy was a disappointment, because there were misassembly issues, especially with the arms, and that is almost unforgivable. But with my personal experience, this guy easily takes the number 1 slot, and if you got a good version of the mold, I think you understand why. That being said, Some might replace this guy at this position with Slug Slinger or with Misfire. And in both of those cases, I could certainly see it. Like I said, this was a really, really hard list to do. And there we have it for another year. This was, bar none, the most challenging top 10 list I've ever had to do. 2017 was a great year if you were a fan of this franchise. It really was, with so many strong releases. I very easily was tempted to throw in Perceptor here because I love that guy. Cop, especially if you got the Japanese version of him, or like me, you customized them and kind of got a set of add-on arms. So interesting. Overlord could be thrown in here, no problem at all. And so many others. But these guys here, I never get tired of seeing them. I never get tired of picking them up in my hands and, you know, converting them back and forth between modes and just plain having fun with them. I'd love to know who you would put on your list, or who I have in mind that you wouldn't necessarily include on yours, because your experience with the molds was different than mine. I guess that's about it. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for giving me some of your very valuable time, and you know that I certainly look forward to the next time that you and I get together for another visit right here inside the videos.